All right, we're here this afternoon just talking with my broker of record, Conrad Zurini. Conrad's going to be giving one of the breakout speeches at the OREA Reality conference towards the end of this month. The title of which is?
It's teams versus brokerages. So
Okay.
we're going to parallel and contrast the modern day team and the modern day brokerage, basically.
Cool. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing teams growing a lot these days too. That's becoming a pretty decent trend. Even within our brokerage, there's lots of big teams that are being very successful, and there's lots of agents like myself, individual agents that really appreciate what the brokerage is doing. You're a lot more progressive that way. Like we're sitting in our what used to be our video studio, which is now being converted to our podcast studio, and these things are all available to us, and teams are starting to do that kind of thing. What kind of things are you going to maybe be discussing at the thing without giving the entire speech away? What can we expect if we show up at your session at Reality?
Well, I think that teams and the brokerages are partners, basically, and that's how I look at it. And I think that what we're trying to do here is we learn from what the teams are doing, and the teams learn from what we're doing, and we're looking at gaps that possibly the teams have in their service model, and then introducing them to the whole network, to everybody. So share that. So this is a classic example. We saw this trend in terms of podcasts and education marketing, and we wanted to become on the front end of that. We saw some of our teams doing that on a small level. We wanted to introduce to the whole company, and that's basically what we try to do. We try to find those little gaps in between their service model and ours, and try to fulfill it with something, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's very collaborative, right? I mean, you're sharing ideas with them, they're sharing ideas with us. I mean, they sit in our monthly meetings with everybody else, and even the training sessions, everybody's kind of mixed in, trading ideas, and that's always been the way. I've been here just over 8 years now, and that's always been the way it's been from what I've noticed. In terms of introducing new ideas to the brokerage, I guess, because you're taking them from the teams and vice versa. Adoption-wise, what kind of things maybe do you find challenging, or what kind of things you implement to kind of get people interested in those ideas?
Well, I think execution is the biggest thing. And my line is education without execution is entertainment. So
the 3 E's.
The 3 E's, basically. I think you can't just introduce something. You have to follow it up with some sort of background. So we've created a course on podcasting. So we're going to be teaching people part of it's going to be the technology piece. The other part is how to create a podcast and the different types of podcasts and things like that. So it's like a 1-2 punch. If you don't have the 1-2 punch, then the adoption is slim to none. So you need that. You need that follow up. I think that's critical.
And then looking at conferences, because we're going to the Reality conference, and I know you've spoken internationally at conferences, RE/MAX and otherwise kind of thing. You've obviously been in the business a long time. You're the son of a broker.
Yeah, I'm an SOB, definitely.
Yeah, you definitely are an SOB.
Matt Regan is also an SOB too.
Yeah,
Matt
and he'll
was
be
on
there
the
as
panel
well.
Yeah.
And then, so your parents started one of the original RE/MAX brokerages in Canada, and they've grown it since then, and you've taken over and just exploded it since then as well. So now you've spoken at lots of conferences, you've been to tons of conferences. So when you go to a conference, you're going as a broker owner, different than I would be going as an individual agent.
Yes.
What kind of things do you hope to get from things like the Inman conference or like a Reality conference? Like, why are you going to a conference?
Well, I love content. So that's just my thing. It was funny because I was at Inman, and they have the broker stream, and then they also have the agent stream. And I really primarily focused on the agent stream. Not that I didn't do some broker stream things, but I feel I want to bring back some great best practices that are happening in the U.S. and all over the world, because Inman's pretty international now. I was with people from the Netherlands and things like that. And we're just trying to bring best practices for our agents and seeing what's working and making contacts and things like that, and suppliers and what's happening out there, and bring whatever we can back to the brokerage.
Yeah. And I appreciate that as an agent, because I know we sit in our monthly meetings, and they're generally standing room only. I think because you're giving us a lot of information, and we have a lot of engaged agents that are really interested in, like, not only what's happening in the industry and regulatory changes and that sort of thing, but in terms of like new technology and stuff. And you've made a huge change. I know you've talked about it in some of the training sessions. I mean, it used to be the buttoned up tie wearing Conrad with the glasses. You've kind of bit out a little bit more relaxed, and changed that sort of thing personally too. I know you're into exercise a lot more, and just getting yourself in a better position. But you're also moving the brokerage that way too. You've started your own video series. So you see clips all the time. If you follow Conrad on Facebook Facebook or Instagram or follow Remax Escarpment. You're doing those little training clips that a lot of them
sound bites. Yeah,
you see the back of my head in a lot of them too.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I try to. I know now, so I come over, so I just to prepare myself. But yeah, so you're really getting more involved in video and encouraging agents to do that. Where do you see like sort of it going next? I know because you're pretty up to date with the technology and social media. Like you're on Instagram and Facebook, and I don't even know if you're on Snapchat and TikTok and all these other little ones.
I've been looking at TikTok. I haven't explored that, but it's something on our radar screen.
I'm pretty up to date too, and TikTok scares me. So I look at it and just like, I don't know what to do with this. But where do you see? Are you seeing a lot more agents in the brokerage? Because I don't know if we're at that tipping point yet, that adoption tipping point yet. But you are starting to see more people move into that.
Yeah, and I think we had to lead by example, and I think I couldn't go around telling everybody embrace video and not be doing video. I think that's not the way we operate here. So I think that my video, embracing the video and the sound bites has been really, really helpful in terms of recruiting for me. And I'm hoping that people see that we're successful recruiting and bringing people to the brokerage, knowledgeable people, people with some great market share and things like that that'll help the whole brokerage as a whole, that they're going to understand that, hey, if you use this type of thing in your business, we're trying to be very transparent. We have landing pages that we created to do recruiting, and I'm showing agents, okay, this is what we do to recruit. How about doing a landing page to actually recruit prospects for your business? So I don't want to go around teaching things that we're not actually practicing what we're preaching. And I'll tell you, social media is shareable. Like, no disrespect to other people that do like billboards and things like that, and that's fine, and that's out there, but it's not shareable. And I think that's the key part, and I think that's where it really separates everybody. So you can see people going in one direction, old media. I feel that we got to get into that new media, and it's all about shareability and who can benefit from this information. That's one of the lines I tell agents all the time. Instead of like, I'm never too busy for your referrals. No disrespect to that coach, but we're all about, do you know anybody else that can benefit from this kind of information, this kind of content? So
and I know you've been preaching that for a long time too. It's like educating the consumer, right? Being that source of knowledge for them. Then they respect you as an expert in terms of the industry and what's happening, and will trust you when it comes time to make a purchase or sale or investment property purchase or whatever it might be. So getting away from that just a little bit, going back to the conference, I know you kind of had a quick look at who's going to be there. Seth Godin's going to be there. Molly Bloom, she's going to be there. A bunch of other little speakers and stuff. Is there any one person kind of thing that you're looking forward to, or just generally?
I'm a big fan of Seth, honestly. I've always liked the Purple Cow, and he's just so plugged in, and there's a great, if you have a chance, there's a great not TED, it was a video that he did about blogging changing his life. That before he got really into, he was still an author, but I think blogging got him into that natural content delivery and creating content. And he articulates that it changed his life. And even myself, I feel that when you articulate it and you put it down on paper or video, it really kind of changes the way you deliver that information and things like that. So I never want to practice with a consumer or an agent. I'd rather have that already, practiced and rehearsed and really come across well, because you don't have a second chance to make a first impression, that type of thing. So that whole knowledge articulation, I love what Seth has to offer. And I've had the pleasure of seeing Molly. She spoke at a conference I was at. It's a dynamic story. It's incredible what she did, and I think if you really listen to her message and take what she did, she went to the top of the pyramid in terms of I know it's a negative thing in terms of the gambling world, but she showed you client relationships and all that kind of stuff. And watch out for your competition. And there's a great story that she has to tell.
A lot of lessons to learn.
And we can, a lot of lessons, and we can all take a message out of that. So I'm looking forward to the two speakers as well.
I saw the movie Molly's Game, which is her life story basically translated to Hollywood. So that actually piqued my interest a little bit more to see what exactly she's going to be talking about. So that's definitely one. And I have not had a chance to see Seth in person yet. So I'm going to be sitting in on that session as well too. So that's a ton of fun. Is there any sort of closing words, like I said, going back to the team versus brokerage kind of thing? Do you see a lot of the brokerage model, kind of people moving more towards teams, especially here in Ontario. Now we're hoping soon to be able to have the opportunity to incorporate. But then, I mean, here at Escarpment, we've kind of figured out a way through sub-brokerages for teams to be able to incorporate for some time. Do you see more of a movement towards teams? Is it staying sort of balanced, like it's something for everybody kind of thing?
I think it's staying, if you can use the word balance. I think we're probably at an 80-20, type of thing. Real teams, like the real team model, like
not just partners. Yeah,
exactly. That are really active that way. I think it's going to be consumer pull. I think the consumer is going to pull. And what we've done here is we've tried to assemble specialists around you. Okay, video specialists, marketing specialists, all that kind of
call
stuff.
center and all the other things.
Exactly. So that would make you have a team as well.
Yeah.
So individuals have a team. It's me as your chief strategy officer.
Yeah.
Your manager as your coach, that type of thing. You've got a marketing manager. So all those people that are part of a transaction coordinators, those are part of your team. And I think it's really a consumer pull that people are looking, that they want that kind of experience. They want to know nothing falls through the cracks and that type of thing. So I think that is the trend. Teams have embraced that. I think individual agents should embrace that whole model as well, in terms of relying on the specialist of the brokerage, right? Yeah.
As an extension of that too, like, and we've talked about this before too, it's that concierge type service. So it's even going beyond the actual transaction 100%. To all the other types of services that clients might need.
Yes.
Even post transaction. So it's referring the basic things like being able to refer contractors that they might need for whatever they might have, but also things like, during the transaction process, if you're working at a more luxury type level, getting people's houses cleaned prior to showings. And I know people that even provide like dog walking services and dry cleaning pickup, just trying to find all these different innovative things that, there's all these different market segments. Like every consumer finds value in different things. So some of them are just like, you just made my day a lot easier, and I don't have to worry about my house being sold. I don't have to worry about my house being cleaned because you sent a cleaner over on the weekend before the open house, and I could take my 5 kids out to their whatever they need to do. So I know we're promoting that, and I know we've talked before personally and through training sessions too about marketing ourselves as having that network behind us, the marketing team, the call center that books all the appointments for us and follows up, and everybody else involved in that. And I think that just creates that comfort level for the clients when they're coming, versus like agents who are maybe sort of a little bit, I'll say, older style, that are just kind of going at it their own and maybe don't have those support systems. So I appreciate you guys doing that. That's why I'm here instead of somewhere else. But again, there's different models for everybody, right? So
completely. Yeah, there's something for everyone. And again, you talk about the luxury sector, and there's so much more we can do. And we've been talking about facilitating that from the showing perspective and things like that as well, making that experience that much better, giving people more of a headache-free experience, sellers. And then the good thing about that is you can create some sort of a service system for the upper end, and then we can actually trickle it down to the rest of the company as well. So we can test it in that upper end, and then see what's working, what's not, and then probably bring it to the rest of the organization. So it's very much a part of our DNA and how we can make that client experience that much better and test things out in different sectors.
Cool. So I appreciate you coming in. I look forward to your talk at Reality. I mean, I see you almost every day walking around the office, but I always as much as I sit in training sessions with you and we get to talk, and we talk casually a lot and stuff like that, every time I've sat in one of your sessions here, whether it's down in the States or whatever, I always get an extra little nugget of something that I can go. As far as like, once I've sat in your session, I guess the execution part, I know we were going to end it, but I just want to extend it. One last little thing is like, what do you tell people as far as, okay, when you leave the conference, like, how do you make it stick, right? So I've sat there this is going to be a 3-day conference. You got their general meeting there and everything. I've learned a bunch of stuff. I've taken pages of notes, or I've gotten handouts or whatever. What is some of the strategy, or a strategy that you use, like within that first 24, 48 hours after you leave? Like, what do you do to make it sort of real to you and make it work?
Usually when I come, so either I'm flying back from a conference or what have you, I put on my notes, and I'm still an old school guy. I still use a BlackBerry, and the BlackBerry is dying, but I'm really fast with the buttons. But anyway, I make notes, and what I do is then I'll put it on my iPad or whatever, and I'll cut and paste, and I have different headlines. And what I'll start to do is I'll start to organize in different groupings. Okay. It could be the client experience, could be a transaction, something to do with the transaction, could be marketing, could be social media. So I tried to put those in the little buckets. I find when I organize the content that way, when you just write, it's hard to do it.
Sure.
I think you need to do it electronically. So I put things into little buckets, and then that's when I look at, okay, what's the lowest hanging fruit? What's something that we can incorporate right away in, let's say, in social media or in facilitating the transaction or something along that line. That's big. And if you don't start to execute within 72 hours, I always talk about the 72-hour rule, you will never do it. Yeah. So unless you start to do something with this content within those first 3 days after the conference, it's going to be in a drawer somewhere. Right?
Yeah, a notebook on a shelf somewhere collecting dust.
Yeah, and I always blog about the event. And I just did a blog right now. I did postcards from Inman. And I took little segments out of everybody, about 6 people that I really found very interesting, and tried to share that content and did it in a postcard format kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, like write it down, and it just makes it more real to you, right?
Yeah.
The more that you're dealing with it, it just reinforces that idea inside yourself, right?
The key thing is, like I said, putting it in the buckets and then going through that information in each one of those buckets and looking at the low-lying fruit. Because what happens is you're going to get this combination. People are going to talk about what they're doing in social media, what they're doing for the client experience. Then I take those and then I start to create my own best practices from the conference. Right. That's what I try to do.
And if you're looking at the really complicated stuff, again, it seems really overwhelming. So like you said, the low-hanging fruit, the stuff you can do relatively quickly, and then build up to those bigger items.
And create the timeline for the bigger items. I think that's critical. I think if you're not doing that in the first 72 hours, you're going to go nowhere.
Perfect. Okay. Again, thank you for sitting in with us. I know it's just a quick little chat. We look forward to your chat at Inman, or not at Inman, sorry, at Reality. Maybe that's next year. But at Reality at the end of February. So again, thank you, and thank you for all you do for us. I appreciate it. I mean, this is not a kissing ass segment, but I will kiss a little bit. No, it's I've always had an excellent experience here. Like you said, you do practice what you preach, which I do appreciate, and that's what you need to do. So once you come and learn what Conrad's doing, take it, and like you said, take it all down, and then within that first 3 days, start implementing. Otherwise, it'll just end up on a shelf somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
And thank you, Tony, for putting us on the map and your creativity and everything, and doing this, because this is a lot of heavy lifting, and being an ambassador is an important role. Right?
Thank you. Hopefully I do it in a good way. I don't know. But anyways.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ciao.